When I pointed this out to Kishan, he reminded me of Mr. Kadam's research. I fished the papers out of the backpack and read as we hiked on. He said it's a giant world tree with roots descending to the underworld and leaves touching heaven. It's supposed to be 1,000 feet wide and thousands of feet tall. I'm guessing this is it. Kishan replied dryly,
"It appears so."
When we finally stepped onto the grassy valley floor, we trailed a giant branch back to the trunk. Because the sun could not penetrate the massive limbs overhead, it felt dark, cold, and still under the leafy roof. The wind blew through the large leaves, which slapped against the branches like stiff clothes on a line. Eerie, strange noises assaulted our ears. Creaking and moaning, the wind found ways to blow over and through the mighty limbs, making it seem as if we were walking through a haunted forest. Kishan moved closer to me to take my hand. I accepted his gesture gratefully and tried to ignore the feeling of being watched. Kishan felt it too, and said it was as if strange creatures were studying us from above. I tried to laugh. Imagine the size of the tree nymphs that would be born out of this tree. I'd meant it to be funny, but the possibility that it could be true caused both of us to look up warily. Hours later, we finally reached the trunk. It extended like a giant wooden wall as far as we could see. The nearest limb was hundreds of feet high. It was too high for us to reach, and we had no rock climbing gear with us. Kishan said,
"I suggest we make camp here at the base and start hiking around one side early in the morning. Maybe we can find a lower branch or a way to climb it."
"Sounds good to me. I'm exhausted." I heard a flapping noise and was surprised to see a black raven settle on the ground near our camp. He cawed at us and stridently beat his wings as he flew away. I couldn't help but feel this might be a bad omen, but I chose not to voice my concerns to Kishan. When he asked for a story that night, I told him one I'd read in a book that Mr. Kadam had given me. Odin is one of the gods of the Norse people. He has 2 ravens named Hugin and Munin. Ravens are notorious thieves, and these 2 pet ravens were sent all over the world to steal for Odin.
What did they take?
That's the interesting thing. Hugin took thoughts, and Munin took memories. Odin sent them out early in the morning, and they came back to him in the evening. They perched on his shoulders to whisper the thoughts and memories they had stolen into his ears. This way, he knew everything that happened, and everyone's thoughts and intentions.
They would be convenient to have during a battle. You would know what moves the enemy was planning.
Exactly. And that is what Odin did. One day, Munin was caught by a traitor. When Hugin returned to whisper thoughts in Odin's mind, he immediately forgot them. An enemy snuck in that night and overthrew Odin. After that, the people stopped believing in the gods. Hugin flew away, and both birds disappeared. The legend of Odin's ravens is one of the reasons that seeing a raven is a bad omen. Kishan asked,
"Gels, are you afraid the raven will steal your memories?"
"My memories are the most precious things that I possess right now. I would do anything to protect them, but no, I'm not afraid of the raven."
For a long time I would have given anything to have my memories wiped clean. I thought that if I could forget what happened, I might be able to get on with my life.
But you wouldn't want to forget Yasubai, just like I wouldn't want to forget Ren or my parents. It's sad to remember, but it's a part of who we are.
Good night, Kelsey.
Good night, Kishan. The next morning, as we packed up for the day, I noticed the bracelet Ren had given me was gone. Kishan and I looked everywhere but couldn't find it.
Kels, the camera is missing too, and all the honey cakes.
Oh no, what else? He pointedly looked at my throat. What? What is it?
The amulet is gone.
What happened? How were we robbed in the middle of nowhere? How could I not feel someone taking things from off my body as I slept? I cried frantically.
I have a suspicion. It was the raven.
But it's not real, it's just a myth.
You said yourself that myths are often based on truths or partial truths. Maybe the raven took them. I would have known if it was a person, a bird I ignore when I sleep.
What are we going to do now?
The only thing we can do. Keep going. We still have our weapons and the golden fruit.
Yes, but the amulet.
It'll be okay, Kels. Have a little faith, remember. Like the ocean teacher said.
Easy for you to say. You didn't have your only picture of Yasubai taken from you. He looked at me silently for a moment.
The only picture I ever had of Yasubai is the one in my mind.
I know, but... He slid a finger under my chin and tipped my face up.
You have a chance to get the man back. Don't worry so much about the picture.
You're right, I know. Let's get going then. We chose the left side of the tree trunk and began walking. The trunk was so huge that I could barely see it curve in the distance.
What happens when we see the snake, Kels?
It's not a vicious snake, it simply guards the tree. At least, that's the way it looked from the Amphala stone. If the snake feels that we have a legitimate reason to pass, it will allow us. If not, it will try to stop us. An hour or two later, I was trailing my finger along the bark when the trunk moved. Kishan! Did you see that? He touched the trunk.
I don't see anything.
Put your hands on it, feel it. Right here. You see? The texture changes. There, it's another shift. Put your hand on top of mine. Can you feel it now?
Yes.
A section of the trunk about 6 feet wide began to move. Another segment above that shifted in the opposite direction. The pattern seemed familiar, but I couldn't put it together. It was confusing, like seeing the giant tree and mistaking it for an entire forest. Wind swirled around us like deep bellows. A giant suction of air followed by a strong wind disturbed the short grass and caused prickly goosebumps to rise on my arms. Kishan looked up and froze.
Don't move, Kelsey.
The air began moving harder, like the bellows were pumping faster. I hissed, "What is it, Kishan?" A rustling noise stirred behind me. It sounded like someone was dragging a heavy bag through a pile of leaves. Twigs cracked, leaves shuddered, and branches groaned. I heard a deep, sibilant voice.
"Why is it you are coming to my forest?"
I slowly turned and looked into a giant, unblinking, horned eye. "Are you the guardian of the world tree?"
"Yes. Why are you present?"
I looked up and up and up. Now I knew what I'd been looking at before. The giant snake was coiled around the tree, and the 6-foot segments were the snake's body. It was perfectly camouflaged. In fact, as I watched, its body shifted color to match its environment like a chameleon.